Hi everyone. Just waiting for some of you guys to join. Comment if you're able to see this, yeah? How are you guys doing? Hello. Can anyone see this? Hi Satvik, thank you so much for your comment. How are you doing? Hi Ankit. Thank you guys for joining. We're just gonna begin in just a moment. Let me know where you guys are from and which language do you speak? Hindi, English. We can do this. We can do this in pretty much any language. But I have some really special information for you guys out there today, and I've compiled a lot of it. And I think you are gonna enjoy this session. There's gonna be so much value in this, but just waiting for maybe 1 or 2 more minutes. Let a little bit more people to join, and then we'll start from there. How are you guys doing? And where are we connecting from today? Where are you guys from? Are you in India, US, somewhere else? हरियाणा? अरे अंकित बहुत पास में आप तो. चलिए बहुत बढ़िया. परफेक्ट सात्विक. आई एम ऑल्सो करेंटली विद फैमिली इन दिल्ली. चलिए बहुत बढ़िया बहुत बढ़िया. और बताइए. एनीवन एल्स? Alright, guys, I think we are starting to have a decent number of people, तो हम लोग start करते हैं. Let's get started. Uh, Today we are going to be talking about talent-based visas. Extremely important, extremely special topic, which people did not used to focus on. आज से मतलब just 3-4 years back, but today the boom for it is it's sort of like taking over the market everywhere. There's so many countries that want to attract talent as of now. Now, this is not just the US, UK. There's China, there's many Singapore, there's many other countries that are doing this. And the advantage is that if you want to go legally overseas, you want to immigrate legally, this will get the job done, because it's simple. As long as you satisfy certain criteria, you get to go. And if you're going for your bachelor's, master's, PhD, doesn't matter, you can already start preparing your profile in advance. So there's a lot more we can do basically just by knowing these options. As long as you know them, right, you know that okay, this is what I need to do, so you already start working towards your target from the very beginning, right? Because it takes time. No one is born with talent. Everyone adds it to their profile, right, slowly. So if you work towards it and you work towards it legitimately, in a couple months or one and a half years max to max, you can really be eligible for some of these visas. So we'll talk about that mostly. And mostly one more important thing is, I don't know if you guys heard, the H-1B lottery may or may not exist next year. For some people it's a great thing because they're talking about making it salary based. So if it's salary based and there's level 1, 2, 3, 4 and they qualify as level 4, which is the highest salary, then they're going to be able to get the H-1B easily, which like big techs, big corps, essentially it would be an advantage for them if they are sponsoring some manager level people. But if you're a fresher, for instance, or you have limited level of experience, 1 to 5 years, it's not so great for you, because then you probably want to rethink your study abroad plans. So we're going to talk about all of that, guys. But before that, just wanted to understand if any of these countries, what is the most common target? You can just comment and let me know, because US is one big thing. I know I talk about that in most of my videos, but do you guys want to focus primarily on something else? UK, Australia, Singapore, which one are you mostly interested in? Because I'm going to talk about mostly all of these. So if you could just comment your priority, I would know that what people want, and then maybe I could keep that as the topmost priority. Anything, guys? Any priorities? Anything that you could list? Any country name? And we can then focus on that one particularly. All right, I don't see the comments. Okay, Mayank says US. All right, that's fine. That's good. What else, guys? Anything else? Anyone else? US is still the top priority. That's fine. No problem. We can move forward with that. That's completely okay. So thank you so much, Priyangshu. That means a lot. I'm really thankful for you guys to be here. All right, so let's keep the US the priority in that case. Let's say that, okay, fine, US is the priority. Let's talk about how we can get towards a green card also. Now, if you are, let's say, an Indian, the problem with basically Indians is that we have a lot of applications going in, and that means that if you look at the petitions for the green card potentially, for instance, EB1, which is the employment-based highest priority green card, they are processing for April 2022 right now. Right now, we're just looking at the line. Imagine there's a long line of people in front of you. We're looking at it. We're not standing in it. Once we stand in it, at least we know that, okay, one day I'm gonna get a green card. But right now, we're not really standing in it. So the process begins when you file an I-140 for the EB1A. That's for the green card, basically. Right, that's the highest priority green card you can get. Unfortunately, Indians have to wait a little bit longer, but if you're not from India, then you probably don't have any wait time. And let's say you get an approval also. Let's say that USCIS deems your profile to be extraordinary, everything looks good, you get the approval. What happens after that is that there's a bit of a backlog. Now, because they are processing for, as you understand, 2022 right now, and you apply, let's say we apply in 2025, right? So this is our priority date. Until and unless this backlog finishes and they start processing 2025, we cannot get the green card in our hands by I-485 or consular processing. So basically, we are there. We know that we have the approval, but we cannot work, live, stay in the US, not on a green card at least. So this backlog will prevent us from getting that green card, and this backlog currently looks to be somewhere around 3 to 5 years. Now, again, it can be different depending on, of course, the time of the year and everything, essentially how fast they move. But that's the problem with the green card backlog. But again, this is still the fastest route. 3 to 5 years is not that long. If you look at EV2, EV3, people are waiting 20, 25 years. It looks like it's extremely long over there, which is the standard route after the H-1B. Now, employers are not sponsoring H-1B so much. So what do? We already start preparing our profile for some of these talent-based visas, because once you prepare your profile, and this is really special, once you prepare your profile, let's say for the O1 visa, you can apply to Singapore One Pass, and I'll talk to you about this one shortly. You can apply for the UK Global Talent Visa, and you can apply for the Australia National Innovation Visa. And guess what, this one is direct PR, direct green card, basically within Australia. As long as you even qualify for just one of these visas, you are qualifying for all of these. Now, what are those criteria that you want to focus on? Well, let's take a look at these criteria. Yeah. So if you look at, let's say, the O1 page, let me just open up the O1 page, for instance, right? The major advantage is that there's no lottery, and there's no priority on the basis of salary. Yes, salary is one of the pointers, but it's not the only point. So if you don't have a high salary, that's fine. You can still make it to one of these visas. Essentially, O1 can still be granted if you satisfy at least 3 of these 9 pointers. So majorly, what do they want? They want some sort of research. If you have research, you satisfy the authorship pointer, which is very strong. It's extremely strong. And in a moment, I'll tell you how we can help you with that. But let's say that you do it by yourself as well. Research helps you satisfy this one. Then the second point you can satisfy is scientific contributions of major significance. If your research starts gaining traction, if it starts getting citations, basically people are using your research from all over the world. That's what you want to show, that okay, some people are using my work from some other countries as well. And once this page loads up, I'm going to show you guys. But basically, if you have citations, people using your work from, let's say, Japan, China, US, anywhere and everywhere else in the world, right? We can show that our research is important. It is a contribution of major significance. That's why so many researchers are using it. And you cross something called as the impact factor. You get enough citations, you're good to go with this as well. That's the second thing. Then we have your third thing, which is memberships. Now, based on the research, you're eligible for certain memberships which are given to you if you qualify. And usually the qualification metric is that you should have 10 plus years of experience, or you should have good quality research. Either way, whatever you got over here, and they will count your bachelor's, master's, everything, but still, whatever you got over here, plus you need 3 references who are already senior members of some of these special memberships. Examples would be IEEE senior membership, ACM senior membership, there's Springer Nature, many of these, which are given to people selectively. So you satisfy the memberships point on that basis. And this one comes for free, by the way. You don't really need to do anything over here, you just need to have a good enough profile, right? So that's there. Then there's, of course, judging. Now that you've done the research, you can actually go ahead and perform something called as peer reviewing, which means that just like when previously someone else must have reviewed your research and approved it or rejected it for publication, let's say in IEEE. Now you can do the same thing. Why? because you already hold these memberships, and secondly, you can now apply to be a peer reviewer, which is something that's possible if you already have some research published. And this is a volunteered opportunity, so you don't really go out of your home, do anything. It's literally at the comfort of your home with your laptop. All you need is to have some sort of pull in the research game. You should have already published some papers and everything. So fourth one comes up, then maybe you have a high salary, not today, maybe tomorrow, right? You have a high salary, maybe you have a critical role in a particular organization, you're handling some important role, and the researchers also are using your work, so could be that as well. Maybe you have on top of it some awards while publishing research itself. Sometimes you get some awards that can be used on a global scale because they are nationally or internationally recognized. Maybe you have the best paper award, maybe you have the Taylor and France award because of research, maybe we nominate you for Forbes. Who knows? There's quite some awards based on your profile. If the profile is good, we can try, and these are also free. We're not going to go for paid awards, right? And sometimes you get published material about you in newspapers, magazines, websites as you do this process because your work starts gaining traction. So I mean, many points get satisfied. And if you look at it, this is the O1 requirements. Now look at the EB1 requirements. Same thing: prizes or awards, memberships, published material about you, judging, contributions of major significance, which I was talking to you about, that people using your work from all over the world. Someone's from India, Pakistan, Italy, someone's from all over the world. Essentially, people are using our work, right? And then we have authorship, again, research work, your work displayed in showcases, critical role, high salary. Basically, it's the same exact thing that we talked about. That's O1 and EB1. I just talked to you about the US pathways right now. Usually, you want to file for the EB1 if you have a good enough profile, and in this backlog, you want to go ahead and get something called as the O1, which has the same requirements. So you can still work in the US on the basis of that, because O1 is non-immigrant and there's no backlog for it. You apply today, you can get it tomorrow if you want, as long as you're satisfied. But EB1, at least you know that your name is in the pipeline, and now until 2025 processing starts, till then you can stay on the O1, you can work in the US. But let's say you wanna shift things, you wanna change something, and even without an employer, you can do that. Let's say you want to go for, instead of the EB1, you can go for something called as the UK Global Talent Visa. And if you look at UK Global Talent Visa, there's three main pathways. First one is digital technology, where basically if you're in IT or tech, then this is the best one for you. Second is academia research, and third is arts and culture. I don't focus so much on arts and culture because I don't imagine that a lot of you guys are from that field. Unless you are, then you can connect with me one-on-one. But research pathway is one of the most overlooked pathways. Digital technology, one of the most congested pathways. Too many people apply for it, and that's also why they're getting more and more picky. But research pathway allows you to do this without an employer, and you don't need the employer in digital technology also, but still, no employer needed. You should be working in an approved research discipline, and the field list is wide, so usually you would qualify. You should be an active researcher, so you should be doing something like that. Research should be published every couple months, and you should have equivalent research experience to a PhD, if not a PhD, and that's fine. You don't need a PhD by default. And you should have exceptional talent, and exceptional talent can be shown through the help of these memberships, judging opportunities, awards, and research that you publish, and how well your work is being recognized all over the world. So it's the same pathway. Digital technology also, by the way, if you look at it, TechNation goes ahead and evaluates profiles. But if you go on the official TechNation website, over there also they want you to have some sort of research. They have a demonstrated exceptional ability in the field by academic contributions through research endorsed by an expert. Then you should have made significant technical contributions of as an employee of a product-led company. So again, it's a little bit different, but at the end of the day, if you have done research and you're launching a product on the basis of that, that's great. Proof of recognition of work beyond the applicant's occupation. So again, if you are working in an IT domain in cybersecurity, but also doing research on top of it, which is beyond what you need to do just to make money off of it. So again, that also helps. So all of these things, if you look at it, it's basically the same thing, just minor differences in what the requirements are. And if you scroll down, you'll see that research really helps with a lot of things. Citations, research really help with a lot of things over here, even in the digital technology pathway. So no matter what you're doing, essentially, they're going to work out for us. So if you already start building a profile, it's good. Similarly, if you look at Singapore OnePass, very similar requirements. You want to show either that you have a high salary, greater than 30,000 Singapore dollars in the last 12 months, or in the upcoming 12 months, you're going to have it with a Singapore employer. But if you don't have that, that's okay. You can still get the outstanding achiever track, which will again require the same things: scholarly articles, judging the work of others, scientific contributions, memberships, published material about you. Pretty much the same thing that you saw earlier. If you have some of these, we can show outstanding achievements based on your profile, and we can just go for the Singapore OnePass. And this one is given to you for 5 good years, and in 2 years you usually are good enough in a position that you can start applying towards PR in Singapore. So quite some things are possible over here. You can take your family with you, and no employers needed, of course, for this pathway either. Then there's the Australian National Innovation Visa. Again, same thing. This thing is slightly different. The only difference is that you need a nomination from an Australian citizen or a New Zealand citizen, and apart from that, the of course the person who is going to be nominating you should be well known in your field. But apart from that, nothing else really. It's really the same thing. Awards, achievements, memberships, benefit to Australia, same thing. And you can if you look at the form 1000, which is the nomination form for Australia National Innovation Visa, which is, by the way, direct PR in Australia. So you go over there, you can start a business, you can do whatever, you can take your family, many things are possible. What do they really ask for if you think about it? So why we consider the applicant to have internationally recognized record of exceptional standing in research, academia, profession. So again, we're going to be able to use all your research over here, right? Then we're going to be able to show that you're still prominent because your work is being used globally, right, through the help of citations. We're going to be able to show that you have memberships. We're going to be able to show that you have a high salary. Maybe you have that. So it's basically the same exact points. They've just packaged it a bit differently. And as long as you're building your profile in advance for these pointers, right, it is more than possible that you meet these requirements and you automatically go ahead and start applying. Now, one question that arises is, how do I really start with this? It seems like a lot. Research itself is something that you may not have done before. Now, you could basically start with a free profile evaluation. I think that's the best way to go about it. You basically just go on to, let's say, YMGrad.com, right? And the moment you go onto the website itself, what you want to do is you want to basically look at this chat box. This chat box over here, you log in, you send me your resume over here, and you let me know which pathway you want to focus on. Is it EB1, something else? I'm going to talk about EB2 NIW very shortly. I've seen your comment, don't worry. But you want to give me your resume or your LinkedIn link. I don't need the resume every time. LinkedIn link is also fine. And then you let me know which pathway you're looking at. And I will tell you in my voice, I'll record a voice note usually. I'll let you know for free if you can make it. Maybe your profile is already ready. Maybe you already have certain points, and maybe you don't, right? And we're going to work towards that, of course. So I'll be able to advise you and build a roadmap for you. But all of that starts once you just shoot me a message on YMGrad. You really don't need to, overthink this. It's free. So you do that. But with that said, how can we help you with, for instance, research? How can we help you with something else? So we have solutions for research as well. That's really the basis of everything, if you recall. So what we have is a solution with our research paper panels, where you're clubbed with a PhD partner, and this PhD partner has already been researching for quite a while, and they will be able to help you. Of course, it's chargeable, but it's support that you can get. You submit some keywords based on your profile that, okay, hey, this is what I'm doing. Let's say I'm working in MIS and automation and all of that, right? We'll give you a bit of a timer between 3 to 5 days. This counts down towards 0. We find the right PhD partner for you, and we send you a list of options that are, hey, these are the kind of options where research is ongoing. You can expand them. You can see which one sort of, makes sense based on whatever you are doing. Once you do that, you start the right topic. We club you with that particular partner who is offering this topic, and then you start working with them on the paper. It takes, usually couple weeks to couple months, depending on, where the research already is. And on that basis, essentially, once the paper is finalized, at that point, we verify everything looks good. Plagiarism should not be there. Format should be correct. Grammar should be proper. Minor things, you shouldn't have done AI generated work. And, again, it should be basically proper. There should be some level of novelty, something new which is not already done. And once everything's done, we finalize that, okay, this is a good enough version of the paper to start submitting, and then we start submitting the paper in Springer, IEEE, Elsevier, or top 3 in your field. Let's say if it's medicine, then it might be related to PubMed, Taylor and Francis, Springer Nature. Depending on the field itself, top 3 will pick up, and we'll start helping you with the submissions. We'll help you with the publication also, and then usually they ask for changes, so we help you with that. If you get rejected, we again help you with that. But usually this is the whole journey. Then you get the papers in your hands, then we help you market the papers, make it open source, potentially get more citations, get access to more memberships. We help you apply. So a lot of these things can be done, basically the whole journey, and very legitimately you can actually do this journey by yourself. So that's something we can help you with. But usually these should be some of your backup options. I've talked about the talent-based pathways. I've talked about which visas you can target, what is the eligibility, and green card timeline. I've talked to you about. I've talked to you about our exact step-by-step roadmap. Although I haven't given you a specific one for that, you can message me again on the website YMGrad.com, because again it would be different for case-by-case basis. But now we're going to open it up for questions. Any questions you have whatsoever, feel free to send them to me now. And I already see a question over here from Arham, where he says that, hey, it's been 2 months since my family has landed in the US, and in the EB2 NIW category. See, Arham, if you're from the US, the problem with the EB2 NIW, and I'll just show you over here, is that they're processing for even though it's NIW, like doesn't matter, it's still EB2, right? So that's a lower classification, right? And they're doing 2013 applications as of today. There's a problem, right? If you're from India, the wait time probably looks like it'll be somewhere between, I mean, it should be like 12, 13 years based on where we are right now, but it's actually going to be close to double that, maybe 20, 25 years, because the speed of processing is just so slow. These people have been waiting for years. Now, that's why I'm not the biggest fan of EB2 and IW, unless you're from, let's say, some other country, you're born in, let's say, Pakistan, Bangladesh, China, somewhere else. Makes sense because, hey, the wait time is not that long in that case. But for Indians, it's extremely, extremely long. That's why I wouldn't be the biggest fan of EB2 and IW if you've gone for it. All right, guys. Again, let me know your questions. Do you have any questions whatsoever? Anything that you'd like to know? I mean, of course, we can exit the session, but I'd like to take on certain questions from some people. Okay. Any questions, guys? Anything that you'd like to ask at this point? Ajinkya says, is it confirmed the H-1B is cancelled or just proposed? H-1B isn't getting cancelled. See, the thing is, H-1B is becoming salary-based. And the problem with salary-based is that the people who are going to the best of the best companies and on the best of the best, again, designations, right, they're going to be able to bag the H-1B. Now, this is a proposal. It's not a law yet. It's not finalized yet. It'll have to, of course, pass through some hoops. But who knows? Maybe they change the lottery system this year finally to the salary-based system, because if you remember, that was the final thing that the Trump administration could not do at the end of their term last time. They really wanted to, but they couldn't do it because, well, there was basically no time. And this upcoming H-1B, we're gonna see what happens with it. I mean, of course, you know, as we go closer and closer towards that date, we're gonna start to see what's going on. All right, guys. Ben says, would you recommend the O1 first? Depends. What does it mean first? Are you doing something like EB1 in parallel? My advice would be, depends on where you're from. If EB1 doesn't have any backlog for your country, you can go with EB1 directly. But if you guys have a bit of a backlog, then maybe the O1 first would help. Again, it also has a little bit of a lax requirement. You know, usually they don't require as high quantity of each and everything, you know. All right. Then we have Ankit says, how can we cover the gap year? Ankit, it's very difficult to cover gap years, unfortunately. Unless we find something that you were doing at that particular point in time, it would be extremely difficult to say how to cover the gap year. You can, again, send me your resume on YMGrad.com. I can look at it. I can tell if there's something we can do to cover the gap year, but it would be generally very difficult. All right. Next one is, Anjali says, as this problem continues till 2027 or 2028, I want to go into top 3 universities for masters. No, if you're going for top universities, as such, you don't need to worry. I mean, you still get the OPT, STEM OPT. You can still work. You can still get the return on your investment. It's not a problem. But, you know, for the PR fact itself, you know, like from the point of view of permanent residence, you should already start building a profile right now, because it's certainly not the pathway of H-1B and then EB2, EB3 that used to be very popular. But the problem with that is now it takes 20, 30 years, which, I mean, you know, it's a lifetime almost. So, yeah. All right, Rajesh says, hey Yash, if I-140 for EB1 is approved, can we leave the US and return back after getting the green card? You can leave the US. When you come back, at that point, you'll get the green card, but then your priority date should have become current. So, you know, they should be processing for 2025 at that time if you applied in 2025. And then, you know, once your priority date is current, you can then, in that case, come in and then get your green card. That's absolutely possible. So, you can leave in short, essentially. All right. Next one, Satwik says, can I explain the Singapore One Pass more in detail? Yeah, of course. Singapore One Pass is a visa which basically, again, you need to look into the website Ministry of Manpower over here. It's a very special, very recent visa. I think they launched it in 2023 itself. Already we had, I think in 2024, 6,000 visas were issued, and 2023, I think 6,000 were issued, and then 2024, 4,000. So people are still applying for it. People are going for it. What you really need is, again, either a high salary of 30,000, Singapore dollars, which is like 20 lakh rupees, or you should have outstanding achievements. For outstanding achievements, again, and this website is extremely slow, you can take a look at our site where we explain what the definition of outstanding achievements generally is. These, again, the same things that we just talked about today in the session. If you have that, you can just apply even without an employer. You don't need an employer for this. Once you get the one pass, you can go ahead, search for the employment, or you can start your own company. You can do really anything at that point. Okay. All right, Ajinkya says, I'm actually upcoming student, so should I reconsider about changing country like Germany and Australia? It's really up to you. I mean, look, I wouldn't say that Germany and Australia would be any better than any other options at this stage, because the whole anti-immigration sentiment is going on all over the world at this point. If you know, Germany has a far-right party. They don't want immigration. Let's say if they win again, they might make it difficult. Australia, they're already canceling extreme number of visas. Not canceling, actually, they're not giving the visas. That's the problem. So especially if you're from India, you're not getting a visa to go to Australia to study very easily. That's one thing we have noticed, and people are getting rejections for no reason whatsoever. These people used to be able to get it very easily previously. So I would say that keep backups. At least have two countries, in mind. US is still one of the best options. I wouldn't rule it out, but if you want to keep a backup of, let's say, Germany or Australia, then you can do that. And these are very separate. One requires you to learn a bit of German, one doesn't require anything. Essentially, you can just go and study. And Australia itself is a big, it's a big deal. Like where you go, regional areas, basically, you want to focus on. So all these things like that research you have to do, but you figure out whichever is the best country for you. Keep two in hand at all times, I would say. All right. Can a researcher get entry into the US for postdoc? Absolutely. Why not? You can absolutely do that. You apply for it and you get it. It's a legal pathway. Akshay says, can someone self-file for the O1? It's possible. Yeah. You want to still create your own LLC, basically. You want to have your entity. You want to show that you are going to be performing a genuine business. You should have a plan and maybe even a stakeholder from the US if possible. But yeah, it's possible. And, we've seen it happen. We've seen it, get approved as well, not only happen. All right. Could you please tell me, Texas, if the minimum CGPA required for admission to the master's program in computer science at UCLA? You want to check again directly on the website. These things keep on changing. Although we do have some admission statistics that you can look into directly on our website as well. You can basically search for UCLA, take a look at admission statistics, take a look at what kind of students have gotten approved and what kind of minimum requirements are there. But these requirements keep on changing. So better to check again. And again, if you want to see the decisions for UCLA, for instance, you can see what kind of students have gotten in and applied, what kind of students have gotten rejected. All this data is free, by the way. It's for you guys. So please feel free to check it out. All right. Arpita says, if the lottery is removed, will the H-1B favor healthcare workers to some extent, or would it only be top level positions that would be selected? I think it's really just the salary. If you are a healthcare worker with a very high salary, I think you should be good to go. But if you aren't a healthcare, again, are a healthcare worker with a low salary, and you're going to be competing with tech also in that case, unfortunately, that's what it looks like. That's what the current bill is. But we don't know. Maybe they go deeper into it and they bifurcate it based on the field. But currently, that's what it looks like. Let's see. And then Rajesh says, if the priority date is current, on what visa do we come here for getting our green card if we leave the US after I-140 is approved? It depends on you. If you already have a valid, let's say B1, B2, you can come on that, right? Otherwise, you can also go for consular processing. You don't need to have, again, let's say in this case, always a visa like B1, B2. You can still go for consular processing directly from your country. They give you a temporary permit to enter, and then you enter and you get your green card. Junaid says, please explain EB1 total cost and how much time to approve. Junaid, I've given the timeline. On an average, it takes usually getting the approval is not time taking. You can do premium processing it in 15 days. The problem is this backlog, 3 to 5 years if you're from India. But with that said, how much time it'll take for your profile? I mean, that probably, again, if your profile is ready, you can petition tomorrow. If it's not ready, then, you might want to spend 6 months to 1 year probably building up the profile. Again, you can send me a resume directly on the website on YMGrad.com. You'll see my chat window as soon as you go onto it. Send me your resume and let's take a look at it from there. And, we can take it from there. All right. Satvik says, does pursuing a STEM degree still prioritize our application for the green card? I would say that in most cases, my experience has been I would be a little bit biased towards STEM. If you have STEM, it helps. It just is sort of like the need of the day, where there's more of a dearth of people. So personally, I have seen that, but again, some people would disagree. So I would say this is a very subjective opinion. All right, Tech says, if my CGPA is between 7 and 10, can I get admission to the master's program at UCLA. That's a very variable CGPA. If you have 7, probably not. If you have 10, probably yes. 7 to 8, it's gonna be a bit difficult. It's gonna be very competitive. I mean, if you have a really good profile, maybe you've done something extremely great. It might be possible. But that's probably it, guys. Any other question? Anything else? Again, I recommend you guys send me your resume directly on the website over here. Website chat, you will find it the moment you are on the website. You'll find this chat over here. Just shoot me a message over here. Make sure you're logged in, and I'll personally respond to you. We'll take your queries from there, and I look forward to seeing your profiles and working with you guys on this together. But if you have any questions, reach out anytime. Thank you so much for joining me for this one. We keep it slick, we keep it short, and I think the information got conveyed. So thank you so much, guys. Goodbye and take care for the time being, and I'm gonna exit.